Hey, Father Taylor here, and it's not so bad. Thursday, January 30th, and here's your weekly EBlast. Just a few items to bring out today. First of all, our prayers, and I mean that not just thinking about prayers, but we can be praying for everyone who's been impacted by this terrible plane crash over the Potomac. If you've ever been to DC in that airport, you know it's like one of the craziest places to put an airport. They got flights coming and going right over top of commuters. And there's a variety of military bases nearby who are always active with a variety of type of aircraft of their own. Uh, Everyone will search for what's the answer, and they will probably look for who's to blame. Right now, I think what the thing to pray for is for all the people who have died, whose bodies perhaps have yet to be found, and for all of the families who are going to go through unconsolable grief. I mean, just terrible. Then you have to think about the first responders. Apparently, there were about 300 there in the first couple of hours. And hopefully, it will be an easy recovery operation. That part of the Potomac, if you've ever been, I'm from Baltimore, so very familiar with DC. Potomac can get very deep, and it's also very shallow in parts. I think that part's apparently from the way the plane rested, it was shallow. So hopefully they'll find everybody because that's very important to a person's grief is being able to recover and bury the body of the person they love. So our prayers for everyone involved. Secondly, we're going to talk about what's coming up this weekend. Just a reminder that tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, you don't need a reservation, but there's going to be a worship service which is over at Avon Community Church, formerly known as Avon Baptist. Very easy to get to for if you're in the Simsbury, Granby area. And so there, the worship service is the kickoff for the Thrive Conference. The music has, in the first 2 years, has been extraordinary. I don't imagine it will be anything less than great. You get to meet other Christians who are from other churches and connect with them. It's not just us who go to church in this building. So we get to see and worship the Lord with other people. The keynote speaker is a guy who's written a book about the anxious generation. And I've had my own thoughts about some of his perspectives, but there's 4 workshops the next day about that, particularly geared to parents. There's a lot about parenting and what kids go through and how some of the practices that we've become accustomed to, particularly with these things, that have impact on mental health. And so there's some real interesting things to think about. So just when I was thinking, oh, maybe this is just a more conservative Christian point of view about the use of phones and media, Chris Hayes, who is a political commentator, released a book. I think it's called The Siren Song or The Siren something or other, meaning the sirens in the infamous story of mythology of Jason and the Argonauts. Sirens were those sisters who would lure the sailors by with their voice, capture their attention, and then bad things would happen. And Chris Hayes is a brand new book, which is getting a lot of advertising. His book is about that the biggest war that we're involved with right now is the war for our attention, and how so many different things, including not just phones, but technically the algorithms that are used in things like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, everything we look at is now charged by an algorithm, which quickly gets to figuring out who we are, everything about us, so that it can get us the next advertisement. When you consider that people between the ages of 18 and 35 said that TikTok was one of the leading sources of news and opinions for them, you realize how important it is for us to consider our attention. So that's exactly what this conference, the keynote part is. In the past couple of weeks, I've listed to you all the workshops, everything from life and ministry and how to live in the last third of life, which is where I am. I think I'm past the last third. I think I'm moving into the last quarter. Who knows? But really great topic. They've had this topic before, and that's really insightful stuff going on there. about how to be productive. And your life isn't over just because you retired. And so where's God calling? So that's one of the ones I would recommend. Also, there are some great ones on discipleship. There's one about a particular kind of prayer, of which I have the book that I'm really interested in starting a group here. So I'm hoping that some people from Trinity will go to the workshop about this particular prayer, and that you will come back and let me know what you thought of that, because I'd like to get a group of that going right here. We can do that. I even have the person that trained the people who are doing presentation. I know her, and she, I think, would be glad to come over and to set something up for us. So all kinds of things to choose from. And on Saturday, I think if you said, "Hey, I'm going to the morning session before lunch," you can still get 2 workshops, or after lunch too. Very valuable conference. Very valuable conference. So I'm just extend that as another encouragement to consider getting out on Saturday and checking this out, and even Friday night if coming to worship with some other Christians. On Sunday, we're resuming Breakfast Alpha. And for the first couple of Sundays, what we're going to try out is, sometimes you go to the service and you hear something in the sermon that you have questions about, or you'd rather explore more, or maybe there's questions I have to you that I'd like you to explore more. Well, that's what we're going to do in our first return to Breakfast Alpha coming up this week. So there'll be food, there'll be fellowship. It will not be a course in which you have to attend 12 times. Just come and we will talk about some of the stuff that comes up in this week's sermon, particularly in the scriptures. What do these scriptures mean? So when we do those, there's no question you can't ask, but there are probably some questions I don't know how to answer. But anyway, you can ask them all, and I'll do my best to steer you in a direction which I think is a healthy answer. So that's coming up this weekend. And a lot of new folks. Thank you so much for coming to annual meeting. It was super well attended. I think it was very positive and encouraging in many, many ways. So thank you for your attendance in that. And we're listening carefully to how the Lord will lead us and where we'll go. The vestry and a bunch of leaders are going off next weekend for Friday night and Saturday day, but they're all back by Sunday. And so it's the regular church service on Sunday. So anyway, so looking forward to, perhaps if you come to the Thrive Conference, I'll be on Friday night. I'll be down front because I'm doing a litany for renewal and revival, which was kind of my thing and part of the conference. And I'll be doing that with Andre Ridenow, who is the pastor at Wintonberry, who also lives right here in Terriffill, as a matter of fact. So come say hello. Just give me a wave, even if you don't want to stick around. Just come, give me a wave. I'm just curious. Really praying that about 20 people go to this conference this year. Okay. God bless you. Stay warm. Continue to seek the Lord, and we hopefully will see you this weekend.